What's going on? Welcome to my channel. My name is Tronage and I have a new quad that I went out and purchased when on my quest as a beginner to try to fly some freestyle, try to fly some race style, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically FPV on a quad, a drone, whatever have you. Started with the brush stuff like the Blade Inductrix, the Tiny Whoop, the Newbie drone. That's where I started. I then moved up to the Armor. In fact, the Armor 67. If you'd like to see a detailed review of the Armor 67, you can find that right, boom, and check it out. The Armor 67 wasn't pushing it enough outdoor as I wanted it. Kind of got it tamed enough to do indoor, but it just really didn't do the outdoor that I wanted. I was not happy. I wanted more, I wanted more, I wanted more. So I decided I wanted to go to something a bigger wheelbase, because the Armor 67 is a 67mm wheelbase. That's what it means it's running under. It's doing a 67mm distance between two motors center to center. I wanted something bigger, so I decided to go 90mm now. And in fact, here's what we're coming to you today with. Coming to you today with the Eachine Aurora 90. Let me tell you, this has got some serious to it. This has got some punch. So as you can see, this is the DSMX version, because I am flying Spectrum. I do believe they have a FR Sky or Free Sky, whatever you say, version available for you guys who fly that. It's got the beta. It's an we'll just go over the box. Look, it's got a F3 flight controller. It's got beta flight. It's got an OSD. It's got an LED strip. It's got all kinds of bells and whistles on it. The only problem is what I'm going to show you looks a little different than the box, and I'll explain. Here is how my Aurora 90 looks like right now. Is it any surprise that I modded it? Nope. So here's what happened, and here's the reason, and here's the problem, and here blah 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 blah. We open up the box. There's a whole bunch of videos online of the unboxings and everything like that. But essentially, here's the old frame. Here's the bottom part of the frame where it mounts. It's like that. And it's got these little ears on it like this. And yada yada. The problem is, and I wouldn't really call it a problem, but if you put a lot of power in the hands of someone who's trying to do something fancy, but doesn't know exactly what they're doing. Not me. You can get yourself into a little bit of trouble. I've discovered about myself when I try to do some freestyle tricks, when I panic, I have a tendency to go full throttle. And that's fine at all if that full throttle would bring you further up into the sky, avoiding the obstacle that you'd be crashing into. What that doesn't help you with is if you're trying to do a split S, a power loop, something along those lines, and you're now inverted and you full throttle. You accelerate to the ground. Fast. Frame cracked, essentially. On the base plate portion here, where all the goodies are attached to and your motor's attached to here, you can see, bring it up close, it's cracked there with a nice splinter right where my face is. This motor mount is very squishy now compared to the other ones being pretty rigid, which obviously was a problem while flying. On this part, one of these rings began to break, as you can see where I'm flexing. There's a piece that's like coming off, and basically this ring is very squishy now compared to the rest of these being pretty firm. Again, not a good thing while flying. It became obvious that I could either buy a new frame for this, I could get a different frame and do an experiment, try to transplant the guts into something else. Now originally I got the Aurora 90 for the same reason I got the Aurora 67. The idea being that because the props were covered with the rings and because it had a lot of protection, maybe I could make it be a hybrid for indoor and outdoor use. And I will tell you, this thing is terrifying indoors. Do not try it unless you're really good at flying. Even with the props covered with the ring, you just feel like you're going to hurt something. And I don't mean the quad, I mean you're going to hurt something that you touch with it. Outdoor, it was great. I was having a ball until I was released into the free world of freestyle and crashed. I decided I wanted something that looked more not newbie-ish, in that it doesn't have rings covering the props, it doesn't have, you know, protection everywhere. I wanted something more open, something that looks more like a built quad of a full, you know, like a 5-inch style look to it. I picked up the, I believe it's called the Firer, and transplanted the guts over. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn it down, we're going to turn the lights on low, and we're going to have a little intimate one-to-one with the Aurora 90 down on the bench. So here we are, and we can have a little up-close and personal look at this, the Firer frame. And as you can see, I have been flying good. I got some props that are out of bend here. But these gem fan props seem to work really good. They bend, you crash, they bend, you just bend them back. All right, so let's talk about what I did to this, since that's usually the formula here. First of all, I got a whole lot of dirt and grass and goodness in there. Now you can see I have a lot of grass on the side, but when it comes to the front, it's not so much. Again, a lot on the side and back, not so much, because when I set these up in beta flight, I basically set them up to be a reverse style. So instead of the props turning this way towards the middle, and if you see you land in the grass, you're going to get all that grass juice flung at your camera lens. I have them so that they all spin this way to the outsides. So that's why my props are configured as such. Whether that's good, bad, or ugly, I don't know. I just know it keeps the grass juice off my lens. And while I'm a new pilot that I keep getting grass juice in my lens, I'm going to keep flying them like that. Once I get better, if there's an advantage to flipping them so that I fly them spinning the traditional way, then I'll flip that way. So essentially, transplanting the guts into this frame was really easy. I didn't have to do much of anything. The wires were all the right length, everything. It was really just taking out the screws, taking out the parts, and putting it all back together in the right spots with the right screws. I mean, even to the point where the buzzer on the board here, it already had a hole cut out for it to pop right into. Everything worked out. It has these little ribs here to like protect the video transmitter antenna. I did have to add a battery strap, so I picked these up from Amazon. These work really well. I like this style where you just put it through and then you can really cinch it down nice and tight and Velcro it. Also, I have a piece of that silicone pad on the back here just to add a little bit of grip for the batteries so they don't slide away. And the transplant itself was pretty simple. I didn't have to do much of anything, just read the instructions how to build the frame, and I just built the frame with the little stack of stuff inside and everything. Now, a couple changes I made while I was in there. I switched out the connector to be an XT30 since I did that with my Armor 67. Another advantage to this modification is what's weird is this does not have a USB port on the side of it. Instead, it has this weird port on the side of it, and then into this you can plug either a USB cord. It comes with it. So it comes with this USB cord here to plug into it. So it's USB on one end, and it has that little connector on the other end that you can plug into there to hook it up to do beta flight or whatnot. Or, so here's the converter that comes with this in the box. This end plugs onto the quad here, like that. And then the other end is that's your standard USB for to plug into. So you can either use this and use your own wire, or you use this one and but it's kind of short. So the choice is yours which to use. That port would normally be right back here where my finger is. Very difficult to get to. because of the way the frame is designed that you can't easily plug it in there. You'd have to use like tweezers or pliers to plug it in. Now with this configuration, it's right on the side. So it's super easy. So I can just plug it in and I'm in. I don't need tweezers. I don't need anything. I can just use my hand to plug it in. So that was really good benefit to have ease of access to that port there to be able to do the beta flight and whatever else I wanted to do with it. Mount for the cameras, the same one from my original frame. This frame does come with that exact same mount, but I just used the one that was already in my Aurora. So I just transplanted that over, screwed it all in, gave it a nice nice angle that I thought was comfortable, which is also nice that you can adjust the camera angle, as you can see, pointed out. You can adjust it. All you have to do is you can loosen this screw here, and then you can slide it either up or down to adjust your camera angle, and same thing on the other side. And even what's nice is on the bottom, let's see if I can get it in view. There you go. On the bottom here, you can see the other screw has a little bit of wiggle room too. So in case this starts bumping into your flight controller, you could then, instead of tipping the top back, you can do is you can kick the bottom out, so you still get that angle. You don't have to worry about going back too much in case something starts hitting back here. But other than that, everything is stock from the Aurora 90 package. The only thing that was difficult, and I'm still not happy with my solution, and I think I'm going to have to make a 3D printed solution very similar to like I did on the Armor, is the way I did the tubing for the antenna. As you can see, the antenna is just this wire right here that you can barely see, but then it just goes up into this tube, and I have this tube just kind of wedged in with these zip ties. The problem with that is if I have an impact, this tube can slide up and down, and that's putting a lot of stress on that wire that really shouldn't. So I'm thinking I might make a little 3D printed doohickey, design something to go between these two holes, this hole and this hole, mount it across those, and then have a little port on the top to plug the antenna tube into, so it keeps that antenna nice and safe. It's got the LEDs on the back, and it it looks pretty cool. Show you. Plug it in. Does like a little like Knight Rider chasing thing, going back and forth and stuff. It's pretty cool. So what I've been flying right now, I've been flying the original 450 MAH Crazy Ponies, 2S style. These are what I originally bought from an Armor 67, and I put them in here, and it still works great, but you know, obviously being a little bit bigger, it doesn't last as long time-wise, but still having a lot of fun flying these. I then also picked up, I'm switching over, I think, to do some tattoo, which I think is what Crazy Pony's kind of copying if you hold them side by side. It's like one's a crazy pony and one's like come on. Like, you're really trying to look the same here at this point. I know this is all tattoos, like the brand name, and I know Crazy Pony's the copycat usually. So I would say this is who they're trying to copy. I mean, come on. That's not even subtle. Just, you know, but whatever. So I've been flying this 2S 650. The advantage of this is it gives me much more flight time. The disadvantage is it's obviously a little bit heavier. If we want to compare the weights of the packs, move this wire out of the way. Okay, so the 650 coming in just about 40 grams, and the 450 is coming in just around 30 grams. So as you can tell, this is clearly lighter than this pack. So this one will give me more flight time, but this one will let me fly more aggressively, if you will, because I'm not carrying around all that extra weight. In addition to these two packs, I've also picked up some 3S 450s by Tattoo just to compare, because apparently this Aurora 90 can handle a 3S pack. So I figured I'd throw a 3S pack onto it and see like really how much I can get it to scream. And let me tell you, with this pack, wow. This thing, wow, is all I gotta say. But as you see, it's again, we're back to the 450 milliwatt hour. And the reason why I went with the 450 is because if theory holds, turn the scale on, the 652S weighs almost 40 grams. The 453S weighs just a little over 40 grams. So these packs have the same weight characteristics. So the idea was that this had the extra oomph to overcome the weight. So I'll have a shorter flight time. So the thought was this pack being the same weight as this, but more voltage, I'd get more kick with it. And yes, I do get tons of kick with this pack. So you want to fly a 3S pack with this. I am getting some weird oscillations when I use the 3S pack. I'm not sure what's causing it. So if I figure it out, I'll let you guys know. But for now, I'm guessing maybe it's with the tune. I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. But a 2S pack, either of these two, it flies phenomenal. The Aurora 90, great little quad. Would I recommend it for a beginner? I think so. A beginner for outdoor. I would not recommend the Aurora 90 for indoor use whatsoever, even though it has the look like it could use it indoor, but you're not going to want to use it indoor. It's really primarily for an outdoor use, and it's just nice having those protections on the props so you don't have to keep buying and replacing your props because they got bent and destroyed and ruined. However, with that being said, that whole frame adds a lot of weight to it. When you swap it out to this frame, the frame it originally came with has a lot of weight. The reason for that is primarily there's these are aluminum standoffs, these little T-shaped things that connect all these pieces, and then those pieces with other aluminum parts connect to the motor mounts, and then that connects to this bottom part. So there's a whole lot of parts to this frame, and it just made it very cumbersome, very larger than it really needed to be. Yes, it offered more protection, but it also made it kind of non-agile to fly. Once I transplanted those very same parts into the Firer frame, it was like a whole different quad. Like, I couldn't believe just changing the frame made a difference. I mean, yes, this has some aluminum standoffs on the sides there. You can see the red standoffs. And, I mean, it is made of carbon fiber. It is a thicker carbon fiber for the legs and stuff. I mean, you can see the legs are much thicker now, so I don't have to worry about breaking them like I did the frame, the previous frame. I mean, I've had some pretty gnarly crashes with it and hasn't broken anything yet, knock on wood. So, but I would recommend it for a beginner. I think this is a great little deal to learn tricks on, to try to practice doing things. I know I keep saying like split S's and power loops and stuff, but I think those are like the major like things to start to learn, or you know, to start doing racing and try to hit some gates and not miss. And if you do miss, you're not going to be, you know, scared that your quad goes flying and breaking, because it's not going to happen because it's still pretty lightweight. This thing can zip around, get some great speed with it, some good FPV. The camera's nice. It's got the full Betaflight OSD. So I would say someone who wants to get into brushless and wants to be outdoor but wants something to play with, I would say the Aurora 90 is a great option. And I would highly recommend transplanting the guts into a Firer frame for the simple fact of not only does it, I feel, fly better in this new frame, but by transplanting the parts over, you really get to see the inner workings. You see how things are connected. You get an idea. It basically gives you the impression of building a quad without actually building it, because everything's put together. You're just changing the body it's in, and it wasn't that difficult at all. Like, I would recommend, going out and buying the Aurora and sticking it in the fire or frame and have yourself a blast, because I'm loving it. Tell me in the comments below what it is you're looking at, what you're flying, how you're liking it. Have you flown the Aurora 90? Do you enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying this thing? Because, I mean, I am having a blast with this thing. I can't wait to go fly it some more. Hey, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, perhaps you'd like to subscribe. Check out the latest videos. I'm always posting new content. If you'd like, you could also become a supporter on my Patreon page. And while you're at it, here's some other videos that you might like. This one over here is the latest one I posted, and this one I think might interest you. Check them out. See ya.